In this screencast, I'm going to demonstrate how to use the referral wizard to make a referral to the community dermatology service for non-shared records. We will be using the referral wizard, which includes all of the services that are used by the CCG within the CCG address book. This has been configured to include the correct read code, referral method, and where required, any template that needs to be completed. Using the wizard, the process is easier and ensures that the referrals made are consistently recorded not only throughout the practice, but also the CCG. In this example, we are using a test patient whose record is not shared. If you are asked to record sharing preferences when the record is opened, then this should be recorded after asking the patient if they are happy to share their record with other organisations involved in their care. If you cancel this screen, then a sharing preference will not be set and the default will be not shared. If you are not asked, then the practice may have a default preference set, or a patient may have previously indicated a preference. We can find out the sharing preferences of a patient by clicking on the Sharing Preferences node. However, those patients who do not have a share in place, when you commence a referral, you will be asked for this missing information, or you will be notified that the record is not shared. For shared records, please watch the shared version of this screencast. In this example, for non-shared records to community dermatology, the service will not be able to see any information recorded within the clinical record, so the referral must be made through System 1 as an electronic referral and then have a letter containing the referral details saved to the patient record. Because the community dermatology service will not be able to see this letter, the letter must then be emailed to the service to provide them with the relevant information required before the referral will be accepted. We can initiate a referral from the clinical tree by right-clicking the referral node and selecting the referral wizard. Or, within this practice, we have set up a toolbar icon that gives us single-click access to the wizard. In this example, this is outside of the consultation, but the process would be exactly the same if you were completing this from within the consultation screen. When I click on the referral wizard icon, the address book with all of your locally added addresses is displayed. We would click on the CCG address book tab, and we have configured this address book to include all of the specialities that you would want to refer a patient to, as well as any addresses, contact details, or email addresses. Each service has been configured to include the type of referral and read code. The address book is structured by speciality, and clicking on the triangle to the left of the folder will display any subspecialities or services available. Most services should be easily identified, but if you can't find the service required, you can use the search facility. In this example, I'm going to refer the patient to the adult dermatology service, which is accessed by opening the dermatology speciality folder and then selecting the service required. Any services that I use on a regular basis, I can add to my favourites screen, which will then add the address to the favourites list at the top of the screen. Favourites are added by right-clicking the address and selecting Add to Favourites. This will remain in my favourites list at the top of the screen until removed. Items can be removed from the favourites by right-clicking and selecting Remove from Favourites. After highlighting the service, I click on Select to open the referral dialog screen. If the sharing preference has not been set, you will be asked to confirm these to share in or share out. You would need to ask the patient if they're happy to share the information recorded at the practice with services involved in their care, or information recorded at the services to be shared with the practice. Both sharing in and sharing out preferences must be set, and then click OK to continue with the referral. If you cancel the screen at this point, then a sharing preference will not be set and will default to not shared. If you receive a message that the patient has declined to give consent, then this means that the record is not shared and information recorded at your practice will not be visible to the service. This could either be explicit, meaning that the patient has indicated that they do not wish to share the information with other services involved in their care, or implicit. The practice have a default setting of no to share the record, or when prompted for the patient's sharing preferences, the cancel button was pressed. Records that are not shared must have the letter emailed to the service before the referral will be accepted. You will be given the opportunity to change the patient's sharing preferences again when the electronic referral dialogue has been completed. For the new electronic referral, within the referral narrative, you should indicate that the patient record is not shared. You should ensure that the correct referring GP is selected, and then you should change the type to community. You would then click on OK to complete the electronic referral dialogue. A protocol will run automatically, and this will again check the sharing preferences of the patient. Because in this example the record is not shared, you will be given the opportunity to change. If we click Yes, at this point the sharing dialog would be displayed, and we can again set the sharing preferences as required. If we do not set any preferences, the service will not be able to see any information within the patient record. If you click No at this prompt, a message will be displayed to indicate that the records are not shared, and that a letter should then be saved to the patient record and then emailed to the service for the referral to be accepted. And you are given the opportunity to create the letter now. Letters must be made available to the service within 2 working days of the referral being received. And if you were to click No at this point, you would be given the opportunity to create a task to complete the dermatology later, which would then be done from within the communications and letters. In this example, we are going to create the letter now by clicking on Yes. The new letter dialog is displayed with the letter type and letter template selected automatically. At this point, we could click Create a Task to write later and create a task. However, in this example, we are going to click on Write Now to open the letter template to be completed. Once the template is opened, I can complete this as I normally would do, with the options available. In this example, the patient demographic details have already been pre-populated, and there are some form field checkboxes and text that can be completed, as well as links that can be clicked to select the section to complete. To select a link, hold down the Control key and then click on the link to go to that section. To complete the form boxes, you would click on the Form Protection button, which allows you to select or type into any of the form fields. Once complete, deselect the Form Protection button and you have 2 options to save the letter. We can save for future editing, which will allow me to make any changes to the letter within the patient record before sending. This is useful where you may need a letter approved before sending. Letters saved for future editing cannot be sent from the patient record by email. We can save the final version, which prevents any further changes being made to the letter. Final versions can be emailed, which is required for non-shared records. In this example, I am quite happy with the version as it is, and when I click on Save Final Version, I am prompted to confirm if I am really sure that I want to save this as a final version, as no further changes can be made. Clicking No would return me to the letter to select another option, but in this example, I'm going to click on Yes. The letter has now been saved to the patient record within the Communications and Letters node. You can see within the Referral node the electronic referral, including the date, the referrer, who it was referred to, the read code, and also an E-flag to indicate that this was an electronic referral. In this example, as the record is not shared, we need to also send the letter to the service using email. Select the letter created to dermatology within the Communications and Letters, and then right-click and select Send via NHS Mail. You will be presented again with the address book, and the service that we last used would already be selected. Click Select, and a message to confirm the address to send to will display. When we confirm this, a message informs you that the message will be sent when the patient record is saved. A flag will be displayed against the letter to indicate that this has been emailed, and also the address that it was emailed to. And this is displayed when you hover over. This flag, though, will not display until after the record is saved, at which point the email would have been sent. We should now change the status of the referral to indicate that the letter has been emailed. Click on the Referrals node and select the Referral to Community Dermatology Service, and then right-click and select Update Status. We should select Email to Provider from the list and then click on OK. This status will remain until the referral is accepted by the service, at which point it will change. That now completes the referral, and you can continue with the consultation or record any further information as required. Once you save the patient record, any referrals, mails, or tasks that have been generated will then be sent. This completes the screencast. Please contact your CCG support service if you have any questions or updates that are required. Thank you.